Ladies and gentlemen, the king has returned. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gem Lord, and Sean. And another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Wolf 4765. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. And another very thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And now, beyond this breakdown / review and discussion of chapter 221 of Jujutsu Kaisen, also known as Peak Fiction. Please remember to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a Patreon below, each one visible as one, count them one, Dama, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter, where I wore a suit. Because you know I had to wear a suit. But regardless, let's hop into chapter 221. What's up, guys? Here we are to chapter 221 of Pure Liquid Peak Fiction, also known as Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the chapter's called Gain and Loss, but nah, we got nothing but gains. We are only up. We are only up. We are not down. The concept of gravity simply does not exist anymore. It is physically impossible for us to be down because we are so up. We are so insanely up, we might as well be in the clouds, beyond the clouds, on heaven and earth. We truly are the only honored ones as Jujutsu Kaisen fans, because sweet mother of mercy, after 1,000 days, after 1,000 years of waiting, the king has returned. But of course, we must all take our time. We must savor what comes with the return of the king, and not simply the return of the king himself. So let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we do get to see that as Takaba and Isidori are preparing to let Gojo loose, Angel's like, wait a minute, wait. Hold on. I just had a thought. Maybe releasing him here wouldn't be the best idea. Are y'all really planning to do that? And like, I mean, Angel, if you had this concern, this couldn't pop out any sooner. Like, they got the mat all laid out, all nice and good. Takaba's dressed up, all nice and relaxed. Itadori's all hoodied up. They got the prison robe all nice and laid out. Like, they're all prepared and everything. You really couldn't, like, mention this earlier? Like, you posted up on the couch, like, you ready to do it. However, we do get to see that Itadori's like, yeah. Like, why not? You can use your technique, right? Like, as long as you can open this darn box, I don't care. I've waited long enough. It may have only been 19 days in verse, but a lot happened in 19 days. It's been long enough. I want to open the box now. And we do get to see that Takaba, who doesn't necessarily... It's so hilarious with Takaba being here, because he, like Kashimo, who doesn't make a single appearance in this entire chapter, and we'll talk about why that could be scary later, but Takaba, who doesn't know Gojo at all, is kind of just here for the ride, and admittedly, the one person that he met that got him tied into this group is currently possessed by the King of Curses. Like, legitimately, bro has absolutely zero stake in any of this conflict. He's just here for the memes and Doritos. He's here to be the memes and eat the Doritos. Because, like, bro really... realistically, he couldn't care less. Like, it's wild to think about it that way. But bro has no context for anything. So, of course, when Angel's like, maybe we shouldn't open the seal here, it doesn't immediately leap to, oh yeah, this is like a deity we're letting out of a box who's been trapped alone for 19 days. Highly likely that he may be a little bit crazy. No, he's just like, you're right. The atmosphere doesn't fit for a big unboxing. Like, hold on, let me go get my camera. Let's get ready for this unboxing video. Maybe we should decorate a little more, like get some origami, make some interlocked rings, have a welcome home sign all nice and set up. Like, that could be good. That could be good. I mean, I wonder if he, like, fully understands the stakes at all. Like, does the culling game even really register to him? Because notably, Hazanoki is another character who survived their culling games match, but he's not here. So, like, I'm not sure Takaba actually interacted with anyone who properly perished. And even, like, Reggie, who did properly perish, I don't think Takaba ever saw his body. So I wonder if Takaba even realizes what's really going on. I mean, to be fair, he did run into the military people. He did run into them with everyone else. But, like... does bro still think this is all one big joke? Like, does he even realize the stakes at hand? I wonder. Because presumably he doesn't have to. Like, his ability, unless getting hit by Jacob's ladder, ironically enough, he's not gonna perish. Once again, this is a technique that is described to be so strong that even Gojo Satoru himself, the king, probably couldn't beat him if he actually knew how to use it. So, with that being the case, it's highly likely that Takaba is kind of just immortal. At the end of the series, we may not have Gojo, we may not have Sukuna, we may not even have kenjaku or any of our main cast. We'll just have Takaba. And we'll only have Takaba. Takaba's love, Takaba's life. However, one of my favorite things about this little interaction is how when he's talking about like getting the little like origami ring set up, he looks to Momo specifically, and Momo just has this look of like pure abstract confusion. Like, she's another character who likely hasn't necessarily done much in the Culling games, probably hasn't even taken a single life yet. She's just here to free one of her senseis, and to be fair, she's not even from the Jujutsu tech that Itadori and the crew is from. So she doesn't even really know Gojo that well at all. So when she's being asked by this random man to like, do we have interlocked rings? Can we make a welcome sign? She's just like, why? Why is my life this? Like, it was so much simpler when I had to worry about the fundamental issues of Jujutsu society. Now I need to worry about fighting for my life and freeing a deity. What happened? But with that being the case, we do get to see that Angel does go out of their way to clarify. They're like, wait. As nice as that idea sounds, that's not what I meant. Like, fun fact, it said that time doesn't actually flow within the prison realm. There's like no passage of anything in there. Meaning, whoever is trapped or whatever is trapped inside won't perish due to like starvation or old age or anything like that. The prisoner will just keep living on eternally as long as they don't take their own life. So bro has been in there for 19 days from our perspective, but we have no idea how long it's actually been in there for bro. And we do get to see that Hikari is like, well, if that's the case, low kizzle, you could kind of use that as a time machine. And like, he's not wrong, but at the same time, unless you could like sleep for eternity, I wouldn't want to use it as a time machine. And it would be more like a I guess kind of time machine, but I'd say more like a time capsule. Like, you know, that like rumor about like Disney and how he like wanted something, like his body froze or something like that, so he could be like resurrected in the far future. Yeah, like it would pretty much be that, where like you're just stuck in this space and you won't age, you won't starve, but you're just left with your old mental faculties. And considering we have no idea what the time ratio is like in there, Gojo doesn't even tell us when he gets released this chapter. It could have been like literally hundreds of years, like Angel theorizes. So like, if 100 years is 19 days and you want to wait 100 years, someone do the math on that. You would literally go insane. With nothing but your own thoughts and some skeletons, you would go physically, mentally, psychologically, spiritually insane. And that's why Angel immediately shoots Hikari down and is like, it wouldn't go as well as you think. But with that being the case, Hikari does have his arms. Like, that is just his arm. Like, there's no other way to put it. He does have his arms back. And I was going to critique this. I was going to be like, well, this just doesn't happen. Because notably, the chapter does not give an explanation for why Hikari has his arm back. Most likely through external RCT, because he can't open domain. Notably, he cannot open domain now, because he cannot form the hand signs. And we know if you can't form hand signs, you can't activate your technique. So he can't open domain. So he didn't open domain, get a jackpot, and regrow his arm, and then just shut off domain. He got his arm healed by one of the two RCT users, but Hana couldn't, and Inumaki couldn't. I think, I like the theory that was brought up. I forget which commenter it was, and I want to try to get this out in some sort of reasonable time, so I won't be able to run back, but you know who you are. Actually, don't know. I'm going to go look right now. It was J-Sync Games. J-Sync Games was the one who opened my brain, straight up opened my eyes and said, it's mentioned soul attacks can't be healed as you heal to the shape of your soul. So when it's damaged, you just can't. Yuji only use soul attacks, so you can't heal a limb taken by Yuji. And it was never explained why he does that. But it's likely Sukuna's attacks with his soul too, meaning that you can't heal from Sukuna's direct hits, theoretically. Inumaki also could not heal from Sukuna's hit, but seemed to be a cursed poison type seal placed on it. I agree, and I like the idea that Jason Games brought up. And I believe that they're right, because we know that Hana lost her arm to a bite from Maguna. And what does Maguna have that Itadori also has that implies the soul negation stuff? he has the two soul things. That's how Mahito explains that Itadori can attack his soul, because he subconsciously understands the natures of souls by having two souls within him. So Maguna, who also had two souls within him, is the one that bit off Hana's arm. So obviously Hana wouldn't be able to get that RCT'd back. Same thing with Inumaki, who got his arm jacked by a domain. Released by who? Sukuna, who has the two souls things, meaning that, two souls. But I mean, the only hypothetical issue with that is we see that Yuji was able to heal just fine from cuts from Sukuna. But that wasn't a whole limb, so maybe you can heal cuts from soul damage, but not necessarily whole limbs. And we also know for a fact that Mahoraga was able to heal, but Mahoraga may be different. Mahoraga may not even have a soul in the conventional sense, considering it's a Shikigami. I don't really know. But I do like the idea that the reason Hakari could get healed is because he did it himself. Well, no, he didn't do it himself. His arm got blown off by Kashimo, who doesn't have two souls. Well, technically he should have. Technically all the reincarnated sorcerers should have two souls. But maybe they don't, because we know they overwrite the original vessel. So maybe the second soul just gets deleted. I'm not sure what actually happens to the second soul now that I think about it. Because it was that's the only issue with that kind of theory. But I think it's more likely that that would actually make it a lot easier in the Mahito matchup, because then every single reincarnated sorcerer will be able to damage Mahito's soul, because they all have two souls. At least they should. But maybe overwriting the original soul is what allows you to survive just fine. Maybe by overwriting the original soul you just delete it. Like overwriting a save file. The original data that was on that save gets deleted. But then again, we know they still have the memories and experiences of the original body. That's how they're able to reference stuff from modern day. So I don't know. I'm gonna head with the theory. I'm gonna hedge on the theory that Sukuna and Itadori, due to their double soul strong body combo, are what prevent Angel and Inumaki from getting their limbs RCT'd back. But Hakari, who is attacked by Kashimo, who overwrote the soul completely of his original vessel, even though he has memories of the modern day, he was able to be healed off from that, because it wasn't from a powerful soul like Sukuna that overrides his. Maybe I'm gonna rock with that, because it's the only way that I can keep myself sane. If that is just wrong, and there's just no explanation for it, I'm not sure how I like that. Gege. There's another hypothetical excuse I'll see though, or I could see, for why Gege's taking Angel out of the fight and allowing Inumaki to fight, I guess. I'm not sure if Inumaki's going to fight or if he's going to stay back. He still doesn't have his arm either. But with that being the case, I'm wondering if there's a certain little something that could go on, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We do get to see that, interestingly enough, Angel uses something that I want to see if is in the official translation. They say physical time. To quote their whole thing, precisely because there is no concept of physical time, it is impossible for us to know how Satoru Gojo has perceived time in the last 19 days since Halloween. It could have felt like a blink of an eye to him, but it is equally possible that it felt like waiting for 100 years. So, physical time. What is physical time? Presumably, at least in my idea, considering he will not starve nor age, physical time just means his biological processes will not proceed. So, hypothetically, there still is time in there. It's just a different kind of time flow. For an example from another series, Seven Deadly Sins. There is the mortal realm, and then all of its sub-realms that run on the same timescape. There's the Domain of God, there's the Demon Realm, the Celestial Realm, the Fairy Realm. Those are all in separate spaces, but they run along the same time flow as the Mortal Realm. The major difference is in Purgatory. Purgatory is an entirely separate time space that has a legitimate separate time scale with the main realm. So Purgatory doesn't have zero time, it just has a diluted time flow. Kind of like, how when you go at faster speeds, time slows down. Or if you're on planets with certain amounts of gravity in certain parts of space, time will flow differently than gravity here on Earth, or time here on Earth. So I wonder, this is mainly just the wank scalar man in me, right? Because before, when Gojo described no time flows within the prison realm, then obviously the inaccessible arguments wrote themselves. No times in the prison realm. Gojo will be able to tell that because he's a literal space-time manipulator down to the atomic level. There's no time. Bada bing, bada boom. He has inaccessible speed because he's able to move and talk in there and stuff like that. Would it be absolute wank and definitely an outlier? Of course. Naturally. But The verse peaks at Mach 3. There's no way there's a character, even if they are the strongest of the strong to ever strong, that they're going to be suddenly inaccessible. But regardless of that, if it's just physical time that doesn't exist, meaning Gojo's body processes won't go onwards, but regular time still exists, like there's still a differentiated time flow, like time is still able to be perceived, then that's not inaccessible. That's just a different time flow that we can't necessarily quantify. And the specification of physical time is what worries me about that. But I'm going to wait till the officials come out before trusting this translation. And if it still says physical time, you could definitely use that against inaccessible Gojo. But do not be shocked. Do not be surprised. Do not be appalled if I start doing some weird matchups with Gojo. If I pull Gojo out against some Kingdom Hearts characters. If I pull Gojo out against... not Demon Slayer characters, that'd be unfair. But if I start pulling Gojo out against some Magi characters, if I pull Gojo out against some Bleach characters, like, you never know what could happen. He could end up in some strange situations, you know what I'm saying? But regardless, that is an interesting point that Angel brings up, and this is mainly a concern for Satoru Gojo's mental state. Considering he is the strongest of this generation, if he were to come out like tripping, or like out of control of his powers, it was kind of just like launching reds and blues and purples everywhere, yeah, it could be dangerous. Because presumably no one would survive, right? Like, especially in this particular area, the only person who would hypothetically be able to survive is like Yuta and maybe Hikari and Maki. Maki would be fine, but like everyone else, if Gojo were to, well, not if a purple gets launched out. Like, if Gojo just comes out, like, say he was just practicing purples in the prison realm, he's like, I got nothing better to do, I got boundless cursed energy anyway, I might as well just keep practicing purples, and like they let him out at complete random and he just launches a purple at somebody, everyone's gonna perish. So this caution is well warranted. At least give him a little bit of a survival chance. And we see that Shoko even kind of agrees, like, yeah. Essentially, if Gojo's in a... well, let me put on Choco's voice. I keep talking in my voice. Essentially, if Gojo is currently in a state of mental disarray, undoing the seal in a narrow space like this could be dangerous, correct? And she brings up a fantastic point. Once again, you can't have Brody practicing purples and accidentally take one of the fighters off the map. But with that being the case, we do get to see that with this being brought up, Itadori, Kirara, and Hikari are all like, wait a minute. Hold on. Now that you mention it. That does sound pretty dangerous. And I love the image of Gojo that they have. Like they mentally, all three of them, I love this trio, I wish we could see more of it, but all three of them mentally just picture Gojo as this like giant blindfolded kaiju just leveling buildings. And to be fair, Gojo's way beyond building level, but it's just funny to see how they like picture him stomping around, destroying buildings, breathing fire, like none of his actual techniques. I'm pretty sure all of them have at least seen Gojo use one of his techniques. Yuji clearly saw purple. Kirara and Hikari were students, so they at least saw like a red or a blue at least, maybe not a purple. But like, no, none of that, no teleporting, nothing. Him just stomping around, massively scaled up as a kaiju. I love that. And man, like, it's so unfortunate that JJK is ending this year. Like, I hope you all know, I've completely resigned to the fact that it's going to end this year. Even with the break that we're on next week, I heard mixed sources, maybe it's a 2-week break. Even still, it's going to end this year. Like, there's no way. Unless we get, like, a whole multi-month trading arc, which I know isn't going to happen. Like, we're stuck out of luck, yo. We're stuck out of luck. With that being the case. And the main reason, right, why I want that is to get more interactions like this. Like, I love the hypothetical trio of Hikari, Itadori, and Kirara. I love seeing all these different characters interact. Takaba interacting with Momo, Angel, Itadori interacting. Like, all this good stuff is great. Shoko being able to be a character, being able to have opinions and stuff like that forged within the narrative. I love all that, but with it ending this year, we're going to lose all that relatively quickly. However, we do get to see that they decide to take this a little bit more seriously and go to one of Jujutsu High's training grounds, Saitama Prefecture, Kuroko Mines. And we see that they really did get prepared. They really did get prepared. Because we see that, I mean, maybe it's a training ground, and obviously there are mines, or maybe there are sandbags already, but like... you see everyone got behind sandbags. They have Takaba, you know, the immortal, unslayable, immortal, undestructible deity that he is. He's the one who lays on the prison realm super duper far away from them. We see that Inumaki and Itadori are posted up the closest, but they're still like a solid 25 feet away. You get to see Kirara, Panda, and Hikari all posted up behind the sandbags, even further behind than them. And notably, Kirara is recording the entire event. I mean, like, who are you going to show that to, though? Like, who you gonna, I mean, I guess just for the memories. Like, 20 years down the line, after the world is saved, like, hey, remember Remember when we all tried to free Gojo and he ended up like not being there? That was so hilarious. Look at the video. But we do get to see that even Itadori, the Chad MC himself, is actually sweating a little bit as Inumaki just posted up next to him like, why did they give me the megaphone? I only have one hand right now. Why is it me? But we do get to see up in the skies, up in the heavens, there is Hana, who is preparing. Notably, she's sweating as she summons her horde. I wonder, like, how much cursed energy was stored in her arm? Is it legit just like a fifth? Like, how much did she lose by losing that arm? Presumably, like, a decent chunk, right? Like, obviously, this wasn't light. Like, I can't imagine what would happen to my magical energy supply if I suddenly lost an entire limb. But it's still crazy to see that she's sweating as she prepares. She takes a deep breath and inhales, getting ready to do it. And on, Maki's command of, Salmon! She lets loose Jacob's Ladder, the holy light. I didn't realize this was her curse technique negation ability, but I guess it is, which is crazy. But this is where my hypothetical understanding of why Gege removed her from the fight comes in. Because remember who's here. Hikari, Kirara, Momo, Inumaki, Maki. That's crazy, Inumaki and Maki. Takaba, Shoko, Itadori, not Kashimo, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but not Kashimo, which is concerning. We don't see him all chapter, but Yuda's here. Yuda's here, and he's watching this clearly. And here's the thing, right? Yuda, I don't know if you've been active in the community at all recently, but Yuda, after Ryu got blitzed in one shot, has been kind of in shambles. His scaling, his viability, really what put him in the original shambles was the fact that he can't use his curse technique for more than 5 minutes. Like, him not having full access to fully manifested Rika for more than 5 minutes was the first thing that put him in shambles. But, he was fighting the guy with the highest curse energy output in all of history. He was also fighting the guy, or the gal, who led a whole, like, top-tier hand squad, and fought a bug. So, like, rough stuff. But what really put him in shambles was when Maguna came out and said, ha, Ryu's fodder, and fodderized him. So scaling-wise, Yuda's been put in a rough spot. And he was already in a rough spot abilities-wise. So with the whole hype of him fighting Kenjaku, and Kenjaku, face-tanking a black hole, obviously he used that technique to counteract it, but still, for all intents and purposes, face-tanking a black hole, we were all kind of wondering, like, what is Yuda gonna do when Kenjaku just drops, like, 25 special grades on him? He ain't Yuki. He doesn't have access to Bombaye. He can't just brute force them and ignore their concepts. He's still bound by concepts and stuff like that. So what is Yuda really gonna do? But if he's here and he's watching Angel or Hana use their technique on the prison realm, and if he can gather an understanding of it, and I guess take a bite of her hair. If you still believe that Ryu was right and that Yuda needs to consume like a piece of his victim in order to absorb the curse technique, I ask you, what time did Rika or him eat some of Inumaki? When did they eat some of Druve? It was you're only 1 for 3 on curse techniques we've seen him copy. So I don't think so. I don't think it relies on that. I think he just needs to see it and understand it. So if he gets access to Jacob's Ladder here, and we still get access to that, that will level the playing ground against Kenjaku. Because presumably, if I had to take a guess, right, Sukuna's going to be mainly fighting Gojo, and Gojo's going to be mainly fighting Sukuna. I don't see really anyone else except for maybe Kashimo, who we'll talk about in a bit, fighting Sukuna. Like, I think it just has to be Gojo alone, which is unfortunate, but it kind of has to be like that. No one else is really powerful enough. Even Maki herself, as goated as she is, she's not powerful enough. Yuda isn't powerful enough, and then everyone else just falls way beneath them. Even Itadori, after his amp, way too weak to be valid at all against Sukuna. There's going to be Gojo versus Sukuna. We're going to get that battle. So, in the massive jumping against Kenjaku, I think the best way to level the playing ground, since he's still like a hand-to-hand combatant on the level of Satoru Gojo, I think the best thing to do would have Yuda be on like cursed erasure duty, like straight up knocking out his technique. The only reason I can see a hypothetical of this not happening is because if he negates Kenjaku's technique, wouldn't that just insta KO Kenjaku? Because Kenjaku's always using his possession technique. That's how he exists. So I'm not exactly sure, unless there's like some loophole put in where like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, Kenjaku's technique was canceled out, but it was only curse spirit manipulation, or it was only the gravity technique, or like Jacob's Ladder can only target one technique at a time, and since Kenjaku's kind of like consistently using 3, the gravity technique, the curse spirit manipulation, and or his possession technique, then Yuta can only cancel out one at a time. So they need to like pick. All right, what do you want to fight through? You want to fight through the gravity? You want to fight through the curses? Something like that. But then why wouldn't Yuta just target the possession technique and instant? I don't know. That's the only hypothetical issue I have with Yuta hypothetically getting the technique. Otherwise, it seems perfectly logical because that allows Gege to get the benefits of introducing Angel in their technique and having somebody use it, but not having to use Angel specifically. And he still gets to put it on a time limit, right? Because that's the big issue. If Angel was in the fight and she could just unlimitedly spam Jacob's ladder on Kenjaku or Sukuna, then the fight would be pretty unfair. But give it to a guy who can only use it for 5 minutes, and suddenly it becomes a lot more balanced. So I could definitely see that being the reason why Hana's taken out. But entirely just theorizing. But with that being the case, we do get to see that the prison realm does in fact burst, and there is a massive dust plume. But as they all run up and check, the prison realm isn't exactly realming in the prison anymore. It's gone. It's just absolutely gone. And unfortunately, the prison realm isn't just gone, and Gojo just flat out isn't even there. Like, everyone runs up. Momo, Miwa, Yuta, Maki, Hikari, Kirara, Panda. Man, Panda, bro. Bro, do you know how many pandas I would trade to have Nanami instead? Do you know how many pandas I would trade to have Nobara instead? By the way, I think this just kind of confirms Nobara's gone. Like, I was about to go on a panda rant, but I think this kind of just confirms Nobara's gone, because this is the time to bring her back. Like, legitimately, I have no other, like, hypothetical, like, why would you wait anymore at this point? If Nobara isn't here with the entire rest of the cast, but Inumaki is, Panda is, Momo is, like, legitimately, Miwa is, like, come on now. I really think we're kind of just stuck. And we never got a follow-up for why Miwa was in Sendai. We never did. Like, she kind of just ended off that arc, and we never got a follow-up for that. Wondering. But regardless, I just don't see her coming back at this point. Like, unless she's really being saved for some, like, final super clutch crazy moment in the end. I just think Nobara's gone. But back to Panda. Man, why is Panda here, bro? Should have executed him. I'm sorry. He should have joined his dad. I know the Panda fans out there are going to be like, how could you say such a thing? Panda sucks. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. What's he even going to do? He's so tiny. You know what? You know what Itadori needs to do? He did say he would eat anything. Panda, you need to be sacrificed, bro. I'm sorry. It'll be for the greater good. It'll be for the greater good. Can you imagine if Itadori's punching techniques weren't just amped by, like, cleave or dismantle, but he was also amped by, like, the durability negation technique? Like, whenever he punched you, he was also doing internal damage and external damage? That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. So, I don't know. Panda, you may just have to get sacked, bro. You may just have to get sacked. You ain't gonna be combat viable anyway. However, with that being the case, we do get to see that Itadori is like, Sensei's not here. Did he disappear alongside the prison realm? Are we in trouble? Did Hana vaporize him? And we see Hana is like, oh Lord, was this my fault? Did I just mess up? Like, it's amazing how we can still fit humor in such a bleak scenario. Like, they're theorizing that Gojo may literally just be atomized, and Hana's like, oh no, I may have messed up. And we even see, like, certain characters all glaring at her. Like, Momo's looking at her, Itadori's looking at her, Akari's looking at her like, do we have to jump her? Do we have to take her other arm and her legs? Like, do we really have to do this? It's unfortunate, but we may have to sacrifice her. Itadori, I know she said Angel couldn't be transferred, but I think you just need to get to munching, bro. Like, I don't know, this is so funny to me how they all glare at her. Or you even see Takaba's like, well, we learned a new useless piece of trivia today. The back of the prison realm, if exposed to Angel's curse technique, Gojo Satoru will be wiped from existence. That is crazy. And we see that Hana immediately goes to try to justify herself, being like, well, actually, you never know. Maybe this Gojo Satoru was some sort of, like, evil spirit or something like that. Maybe that would explain why when he was exposed to our light, he vanished. So, in reality, it's not necessarily my fault. Like, it may just be y'all. Like, it be like that when it be like that sometimes, especially when it be like that. My bad. My fault, OG. My fault. And we see that Itadori's like, she's playing defense. Yuta, sick Rika on her. Use the 5 minutes, Yuta. Use the 5 minutes. But we see that while Itadori is about to try to tell Yuta to absolutely demolish Angel, we get to see that Shoka's like, well, to be completely real with y'all, Gojo was never exactly the best of people. Of course she would say that. She is one of his best friends, if not one of his only friends left. So it makes sense. But with that being the case, once again, I think I'll dedicate this section to Kashimo being missing. We see everyone who should reasonably be here. Hikari, Inumaki, Kirara, Shoko, Maki, Yuta, Itadori, Takaba, Momo, even Choso and Miwa. But we don't see Kashimo. So, like, notably, I don't get why. I mean, I do get why with Kashimo. I don't get why Maguna had to job Ryu. Ryu in particular, I get Ryu was strong, but why'd you have to job Ryu? I think Ryu could have been really cool in like a final fight, either against Kenjaku or against Sukuna. But why you had to job Ryu for Maguna makes absolutely no sense to me. But character-wise, it does make sense to me that Kashimo wouldn't be fine with sitting around. And considering that Hikari can't necessarily keep his promise, that, I guess he never specified that Itadori would be the one, the Kohai that has Sukuna. But I highly doubt Kashimo would stick around and just wait to jump Sukuna. He wants to run the ones. And once he realizes that, like, oh, well, you're just going to release this strong guy who's going to fight Sukuna instead? Alright, well, y'all do that. I'll just go fight Sukuna. And we know for a fact he wants the ones. It fits within his character. And realistically, even if he were to have stuck around, I don't think he'd be down with jumping. He seems like a guy, I mean, he's fine with the reverse jump. He doesn't mind if he himself gets jumped. But I don't think he would be down with jumping everybody or jumping with everybody else, and he probably wouldn't coordinate all too well with them. So considering he is explicitly missing from this chapter, like unless I missed him in a panel or so, even when we get like wide group shots, we never see Kashimo. He has a very distinct design, so I highly doubt I'm just missing out on him even when he's in like this tiny mini form. I think he's just ran off to fight Sukuna, and like he's probably just running there now, and he's gonna fight him and he's gonna job him, like, or Maguna's gonna job him. Hypothetically, we could get like, so essentially Ryu jobbed for 15 finger, and considering Sukuna and Gojo don't fight in this chapter, at least not extensively, we could have Kashimo job for 20 finger to show how strong 20 finger is. Kashimo releases his curse technique, gets a massive amp, and 20 finger still dogs him, just to show how powerful he is. I think it would be low-key repetitive at this point. I would rather Kashimo just join in the Jujutsu jumping, especially against someone like Kenjaku, someone who set him up all those years ago. But obviously, I can, unlike Ryu, I can actually see the in-character reason why Kashimo would just leave them and go fight Sukuna. I don't know. I think Kashimo's kind of like, I think he's getting rolled up. He's getting rolled up actively right now. However, we do get to see, as they're all about to jump Angel, suddenly an earthquake starts happening. And Itadori realizes, this can't be a coincidence. And we cut away to a trench, and we see a certain someone talking about their contingencies. I had placed the prison realm at the subduction zone, 8,000 meters below the surface in the Japan Trench. And of course, I placed cursed spirits to act as sensors beneath the multiple layers of seals over top. So, tell me. Oh no, not just that. He also, so that's the one thing. One thing, we'll tackle that first. Kenjaku really said, I'm going to try and execute this man no matter what. Like, bro literally threw him at pretty much a bootleg Mariana Trench, and then covered him with curses, and then covered him with seals. Like, bro really had no reason to survive that, especially considering he was let out at pure random. Once again, who knows what he was actually doing other than just sitting around in there? So the fact that he pops out so ready and prepared, like, I get it, he has Infinity on, so I highly doubt he would immediately drown or even be assaulted by the curses, unless they, like, all immediately open domain on top of his head. Like, there's no reason he would perish to that. But still, it's crazy that Kenjaku did all of that and Sukuna bypassed all that. Not Sukuna, Gojo bypassed all that. And two, we get to see that Tengen really was just an op. Like, it was already kind of implied, but realistically, Tengen was an op from round start. Because we see that, according to Kenjaku, Tengen told me all about the back after being absorbed. Supposedly, even if the seal were to somehow be broken, you would perish alongside it. So, he was supposed to disappear. That wasn't actually Hana's fault. Hypothetically, the back of the prison realm was rigged so that even if they were to free him from there, he would perish. But Gojo still lived. If not to set up the absurdity of this character within his own verse evermore, he broke through like 4 layers of you're supposed to die. He was either supposed to drown, be secondary sealed by all the extra seals on top of the prison realm, on top of the cursed spirits that were interlaced within the seals of the prison realm, and the back was supposed to execute him anyway. The back wasn't actually supposed to be a legitimate way to free him. So Gojo beat all that, and Tengen was always an op. That is crazy to me, the fact that Tengen was always just evil. I mean, I guess it makes sense. They were a weird, enigmatic entity from the start, and it's always hard to trust a thumb, you know what they say? But with that being the case, that is wild. Gojo really is just him. And we even see Kenjaku being like, yo, bro, I literally did everything. I plotted and planned for everything. How the heck did you even do that? How in the world did you do that? Tell me, bro. Just tell me. And when you see Gojo, he's just like, bro, you don't know how long I've been waiting for this day. And I gotta admit, bro looks majestic, dog. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this may just be Gege's art style getting better. Like, realize he has not drawn Gojo on panel in like, what, 3 years? I think literally like 3 years. Like, either literally 3 years or almost 3 years. It's over 1,000 days. So he has not drawn well, no. Actually, that's a lie. He did just recently draw Gojo. So, like, I don't know why he made bro look extra majestic. Like, bro really looks like a model. Like, he popped out looking fresh. He got a fresh fade. He got a clean line. Bro looks like he just did his makeup before he came out. Like, why does he look so gorgeous? Like, straight up. I have no idea why Gege made this man look so aesthetically pleasing. Like, bro really knew. Bro really knew. Fine. No more flashbacks. No more non-fancy stuff. Nah, we're letting him out the box and he gonna look clean. Fresh. Like, I know them skeletons got him right. I know he took one of their femurs and just cleaned the back of his head real good. Because he did not go into the prison realm looking like that. Bro came out fresh. I guess his blindfold just disintegrated. Like, he just lost the blindfold on the way back. But we do get to see that Kenjaku, you know, trying to stall for his life, is like, hey, it's been a long time since you were able to truly relax. So, how was it, your 19-day vacation? And we see that Gojo is, for lack of a better term, just a teeny tiny bit nettled. Just a little bit. Because we do get to see that Gojo immediately says, hey, you should choose your words way more carefully. After all, they will be your last. And bro immediately goes in for it. Like, I'm not sure. I think this is Gojo's hand. I think it's Gojo's hand that we see here. But like, Kenjaku is infinitely better than me, bro. Because one of two things were happening. Either one, I was dropping every cursed spirit in my arsenal. Like, legitimately every single thing I ever consumed is being dropped as I run for my life. And or I'm hoping that I can catch him lacking with domain. Like, straight up, I am hitting him with the smoothest of domains. Like, straight up, and bada bing, bada boom, smacking him in the face with it, and then I'm running, because it's barrierless. So I'll just run. Like, legitimately, Kenjaku is infinitely better than me, bro. The fact that he actually tried to speak to this deity, try to stall him a little bit, is crazy. But Gojo's on that type of timing, bro. I love that he came out the clutch so ready, so unbelievably ready. And this is, of course, the appropriate reaction, right? Like, he had nothing but time to think about what Kenjaku did. Like, he had nothing but time to think about the fact that his best friend's body is currently being defiled by some who knows how old curse. And he's just been waiting for it. Like, presumably, he could have just immediately teleported to the kids, to the group, and been like, oh, hey, what's up, I'm back. But no, he was like, yes, I need my run back right this instant. You caught me lacking last time. You will not catch me lacking again. Unless you got Prison Realm the sequel, this is your end. And you see him lunge in. But of course, Kenjaku isn't actually alone. And two beings appear. One of them managed to clash with the Almighty. And once again, I love how heavy the clash is. Like, the clash is so powerful. And no, this is just a basic clash, by the way. They literally just, like, locked arms for half an instant. They literally just tapped elbows. But this clash was so powerful that upon them locking elbows, there's this massive orb of light forming, like a white hole. And there's flat out debris, rubble, everything being blown away. Kenjaku, once again, I gotta remind you, this is the man that laughed off a black hole. This is the man that's been chilling, vibing, and plotting for 1,000 years. This is a man that literally wrote the series, essentially. Kenjaku, low-key, kinda just is Gege. And this man is sent rolling, rolling from the force of their impact, literally needing to get his grippers deep into the ground to prevent himself from flying away, and is sweating bullets as he sees the two kings of cursed energy, the world's strongest sorcerer and the king of curses, clash above him. And we see that there is just the slightest bit of a reaction, just the slightest bit of hatred, as Gojo declares, "You've changed quite a bit since I last saw you, Megami." And Sakura is here. He is the one who ended up saving Kenjaku's life. Wow. So this does have some scary implications. Obviously, we got to talk about how this could have implications for scaling, right? Because presumably, this is still 15 finger. This is still 15 finger, and not just that, it is 15 finger in Megami's body. That has massive implications. Now, there are two major, I kind of talked about this a lot in the spoiler video. Go check out the spoiler talk, by the way, if you want like a more visual and quicker reaction and breakdown of this chapter, even though I have no idea what they were saying. But with that being the case, 15 finger in Megami's body. Presumably, at least from my understanding of cursed energy and cursed energy reinforcement, the more cursed energy you have to reinforce yourself, the better. And it makes you more durable, faster, not necessarily stronger, but it can actually make you stronger. It can make you stronger physically, but it doesn't necessarily affect your output. Like, a character like Ryu still just has the highest output in the verse. Does that mean much? Not apparently. Like, techniques can definitely override output based on what we see with Ryu versus Sukuna. But with that being the case, we know that reinforcement works based on your physical base. That's why Itadori is so powerful despite not having insane amounts of cursed energy, because his physical base is so insane. And that's why Yuta is so powerful despite having a weak physical base, because his cursed energy levels are so insane. So Megami, who is extremely well built, don't get me wrong, bro does have a six-pack and is lean and cut like nobody else, bro still is just a 15-year-old. Like, the physical base that Sukuna's building off of is not a full-grown man like Satoru. Satoru's literally in his prime. What, 28 years old? He's literally looking beefy like Toji was. He's like literally just a little bit slimmer than Toji right now. He's in the physical prime of his life, and he was lunging, seemingly enough, maybe not bloodlusted, but like at least with intent to execute Kenjaku. Even if it was like a casual execution, unlike Yuta, he was moving with some sort of slaying intent. But with that being the case, a 15-finger Megami body Maguna was able to intercept him. So we know that Sukuna's real body, which was implied by Yorozu and even Sukuna himself, that he could change back to at any time, was much beefier. It had a much higher physical base. Arguably, I'd say the highest physical base we've seen in the entire series. You saw how girthy that boy was in chapter 219. Bro was beefy. Bro was meaty. He had some girth on him. So he would be reinforcing himself with that base on top of the insane amounts of cursed energy that he has. And on top of that, he still has the 5 extra fingers. Now, of course, there's endless debate in the community on what the 5 fingers actually do, or what the fingers in general actually do. Do they provide a power amp? Do they provide a speed amp? Do they provide more cursed techniques? Is it 10%, or is it like 5% of finger because there are 20 fingers? Or is it like an exponential increase on top of the fingers? We don't have a clear answer for that, unless the debate is constantly ongoing within the community. Because, of course, it has massive implications on scaling. Like, 3-finger Sukuna may not be that impressive, or he could be a top tier. Like, legitimately. That's why you have people either placing 3-finger at, like, middle parts of a tier list, if you're ranking all the Jujutsu Kaisen characters power-wise, or he's, like, top 5. Just because of the variations of what fingers could hypothetically mean. That's how crazy the debate is back and forth. Because if 3-finger could beat Maharaga, and Maharaga could beat a lot of people, like, what could that mean? And with that being the case, we're in a really weird spot with Gojo being reacted to by this Sukuna. Is Gojo going all out? I doubt it. Is Gojo seemingly caught off guard by Megami being Sukuna now? Yeah, even with the casual statement he makes here, his eyebrow is narrowed, it is dropped, his eyes do look serious, he's not as goofy as he is later on in the chapter here, so yeah, he probably is a little bit off guard. Who knows, this probably will just add to his cursed energy reserves later on. And also, this is just a physical clash, neither of them are using techniques, and it's highly unlikely that Sukuna even actually hit him here, because the Infinity is likely still 100% activated. So, with that being the case, is this 100% indication that Maguna 15-finger is relative to Gojo? Not really. Not really. Both are likely not going all out. But the reason I'm concerned is that Gojo doesn't have like any free, easy access to a next level of power. He doesn't have more of his fingers lying around that he can go chomp on to get back to his full strength. Nor does he have a better physical base that he could hypothetically transform into in order to bolster his curse energy reinforcement even higher. He doesn't have that. And Maguna's already doing all this when he could be at hypothetically 75% of his power or multiple exponential levels lower than his true physical peak. Who knows? I still think it's going to be a close fight regardless, but the implications of this scaling wise are concerning, at least for Gojo, at least on my end. And with that being the case, that only depends on if the cursed fingers actually do anything other than like give him techniques. If they give him any sort of power buff, then it's a worry, but if they don't, then they don't. Maybe 3 finger and 1 finger were just as powerful as Sukuna is, but he just gets more techniques. I don't know. Very, very, very up in the air. So many questions that surround Sukuna and his scaling and what it means for Gojo right here. However, regardless of that, back to the plot, back to the narrative, we do get to see that Sukuna's like, do you remember? And we cut back to a time long, long ago. Like what? This was chapter 2, chapter 3 we're talking. Sukuna remembers the time he said, after I take this brat's body for myself, you'll be the first one I slay. And Sukuna laughs. Well, in the end, this brat was the one I took over. And I will finish you. So, ironically enough, like, it's funny that he cuts back to that statement in particular. Unlike Gojo's statement later on in the chapter, which is a really smooth callback that works entirely. Like, this is just wrong. Like, when he got control of Itadori's body, he slayed a whole bunch of people that were not named Gojo Satoru. And when he took over Megami's body, he didn't slay a bunch of people, ironically enough, but he still slayed multiple people, at least a confirmed 2 that were not Gojo Satoru. So he lied. Sukuna, you're a liar and a fibber. You are so lucky you didn't make that a binding vow, or else you would be affected by whatever a binding vow does. Like, I hope we get to see at least one of those fail before the end of the series. Like, I'm shocked we haven't got to see the repercussions of at least one binding vow failing. Like, a bunch have been made, but not a single repercussion has been shown to any of them. So I wonder what they really do. Like, I think it would be helped if we actually knew what they did, so the weight is there. But I guess the mystery also carries the weight of, like, why you shouldn't break a binding vow. I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about that. However, we do get to see that Sukuna's not alone. Urume also comes up. And we see that Gojo is like, you? A loser that had to run away from Yuji Itadori, coming with your tail between your legs to fight me is pretty pathetic. I'm just saying. I personally wouldn't let that slide. That's just me though. And we see that Urume forgot their standing. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Urume is kind of crazy, right? Like, if we just quantify their feats and what they've done, like reacting to piercing blood, straight up restoring and like stopping all of Jujutsu High in their tracks and really being more than powerful enough to execute them, holding and like off-guarding a post-awaken, post-Naoya fight Maki, who literally has precog, and being able to hold them down long enough that they can't do anything to stop them and Sukuna from escaping on Nue. Like, legitimately, Urume's no joke. Holding back post-awaken Maki, post-Naoya fight is absolutely insane, bonkers. A majority of the characters in the verse can't do that. Urume's monsters for that. Sure, they use their maximum output, but still pretty bonkers. So I don't necessarily blame Urume for thinking they were them. Like, I don't really knock their hustle. But I think they should have realized who they tried to call a swine, a pig, a beast, a Pumbaa, if you will. Because Gojo does not let that slide. Gojo slid the fattest of insults Sukuna's way. But the moment Urume talked even the slightest bit of smack, they got smacked. And the crazy thing is, right? I have no idea, like, what even, like, because the thing is, maybe Urume lunged forward and Gojo punched him. Because the thing is, right, positioning wise, Gojo and Sukuna are a decent bit apart. Like, probably like 5 to 10 feet apart. And then it almost looks like if I had to take a guess, maybe Gojo used, which one repels and which one attracts? I forget. Which one repels and which one attacks? He used blue to attract those people together. So maybe he used red and like pulled Urume towards him. But like somehow when he absolutely slobber knocks Uraume, like straight up gets him to cough the life up and sends him flying. Gojo's still where he is, like a decent distance away from Sukuna. So maybe Uraume lunged in, or Gojo just perception blitzed them that badly. Like, that's entirely possible, because Uraume gets absolutely one shot here. And it would be absolutely bonkers. I don't think it's going to happen, because we need someone to fight the fodder. Like, I assume that the fodder is going to fight Uraume. But it would be absolutely bonkers if that's just where Uraume died. Like straight up, they're just removed from the narrative at that point. Like, Gojo one-shot them that badly after being freed that they just perish. And now Sukuna just doesn't have a servant. Like, I know that's unlikely to happen. We don't get a confirmation that they're actually done in here. But still, it would be absolutely insane if that was how it went. Because they're gone. Like, they don't appear at all later in the chapter. And Sukuna doesn't help them. Like, notably, Sukuna straight up weaves the damage or the hypothetical saving of Uraume by dodging their body as it gets sent flying by Gojo. So, I'm not saying it's impossible. Considering Gege has no disregard or no regard for any of his characters at this point, it wouldn't shock me. And I think the most insulting part to all of this, Uraume, this relatively powerful character, like, I wouldn't say a top 5 character, but pretty arguably like a top 10, a top 15, pretty solidly. This kind of character, Gojo, literally just says, "Who are you?" and proceeds to absolutely body bag him. That's crazy. But ironically enough, that's we take it as an insult, right? Because we know who Uraume is. But in the context of the series, Gojo is well within his rights to ask, "Who are you?" Because he's never actually met Uraume. Like, Uraume only showed up after he was sealed, from his perspective. Sure, we know Uraume was in the narrative before that. We see them in the narrative before that. But Gojo never met them. They have no context for who Uraume is. And Gojo met Sukuna. He knows Sukuna and Kenjaku. He has no idea who Uraume is. So that just adds an extra, like, hilarious layer on top of it, where Gojo just one-shot an extremely powerful character that he doesn't even know the name of. However, we do get to see that as Sukuna and Gojo are about to throw down, Kenjaku's like, wait, whoa, chill, wait a minute, before you fight him, you gotta make good on that promise you made me, dog. You can't just throw hands and not do what you did you were gonna do for me. Come on now. Don't make me break your kneecaps with a Louisville Slugger. Even though I know I couldn't do that, don't rush it now. And we see, that's interesting. Well, I'll get to it in a little bit, but we do get to see that Gojo's like, wow. No way, bro. No, you really mean to tell me to think the great Sukuna would nicely obey instructions from his mommy knit on his hanky, bro? Like, Gojo's so goofy, bro. Gojo's so goofy. Like, I'll admit, I'm super happy to have him back. Like, I obviously understand why he had to get gone. Like, I know he literally breaks the balancing of the narrative, and the plot can't happen. I'll even make a what if. I will do it myself. I think it's already out there, but I will literally make a what if on what happens if Gojo didn't get sealed, because we wouldn't have the past 3 years of the series. Like, long story short, I'll make the what if more interesting than that. But now that he's out, I can't make it. But the series would end way sooner, because Sukuna wouldn't be able to get to 15 fingers. Kenjaku wouldn't be able to exist anymore. Like, legitimately, everything would be better because no one would have perished. But, like, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But with that being the case, it's great to see Gojo mocking them. Like, still, he's facing down 2 characters that have annihilated special grades. One-shot characters that were causing trouble to the second strongest after Satoru Gojo himself. Legitimately, he just one-shot a character who was going up against the heavenly restricted awakened Maki and actually able to do things to him. Like, these are no jokes, but he's making jokes. That just goes to show how powerful, how himothy Gojo is. However, as he is mocking them, we do get to see that Gojo does actually have some serious internal monologue. He's like, well, on my end, I also have some things to take care of before fighting Sukuna. I came all this way to give Suguru's body a proper burial. But who would have thought Sukuna got so close to the person inhabiting him? It's probably a binding vow. Darn, what a pain. So, that does raise an interesting question. What did Kenjaku have over Sukuna to make him make a binding vow with him? What was it? What can Kenjaku offer Sukuna? That question, it's gonna haunt me until it gets answered. Because notably, Sukuna seems way too proud and way too arrogant to do something like that. Especially since we know for a fact that Kenjaku didn't actually turn Sukuna into a cursed artifact. Sukuna did it himself. We know that's confirmed now. So sure, Kenjaku gave birth to an appropriate vessel, but Sukuna even left that vessel. Presumably, he could have just waited for the 1 in a million chance that someone else could be a suitable vessel for him and would eat his finger. So Kenjaku planned that. But like, what was that it? Was that really the only thing? I mean, maybe. It's not too complicated. Obviously, Sukuna would need an appropriate vessel. But I really am shocked. I really wonder what Kenjaku has over Sukuna that Sukuna would actually obey. And obviously it makes sense it would be a binding vow. Kenjaku wouldn't be stupid enough to not make one with Sukuna. But I'm wondering what Sukuna could want from Kenjaku. Because notably, I don't see these two characters coexisting in the final world. Like, hypothetically, say the villains do win, Gojo loses and all that. I don't see Sukuna wanting to rule the world alongside Kenjaku. I don't see Kenjaku wanting to rule the world alongside Sukuna. These two are destined to come to blows if they both exist by the end of the series. So I wonder what is allowing this cohabitation at this point. Why are they both tolerant of each other? I don't know. I could more see Kenjaku being tolerant of Sukuna than Sukuna being tolerant of Kenjaku. Sukuna doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would let Kenjaku roam free, especially considering how thrifty he is. And I wonder what Sukuna feels about having his old body back. He probably doesn't care too much, but does like that have the last 5 fingers? I have no idea. But with that being the case, we see that Sukuna goes quiet as he considers Kenjaku's request, and he flashes back to what Yorozu said. Absolute strength and solitude that comes along with it. The one who will teach you about love is... Notably, we don't get the me, but we do get to see that Sukuna says, it's fine with me. So he is down to have the fight later. But interesting. I wonder what this means. Like, notably, I always, like, before this, I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it in the video, but whenever I talk about JJK with my friends, I always mention this. I think Sukuna and Gojo, I didn't mention this in the video, Sukuna and Gojo would actually complete each other. Like, notably, they both stand alone at the pinnacle of strength of their respective sides of the Jujutsu world. And while, sure, they're both fine with that, they always felt alone. They've never necessarily had a good, proper fight. And they both would love to have a good, proper fight, presumably. It feels like fighting's almost in their veins, especially on Sukuna's side. So hypothetically, this love that Sukuna flashes back to could be the love of battle. And the fact that the one who would teach him about love or teach him about the power of strength and that solitude and give him a leave from it, give him an escape from it, wouldn't actually be Yorozu because she wasn't strong enough, but it would be Gojo. Gojo would be the one that Sukuna would love to have a fight with or fall in love with because of the power that Gojo has. Do I say that I ship Gojo x Sukuna? No! Not my thing particularly, but I could definitely see that, considering these two have this, like, I alone am the honored one dynamic. I would definitely love to see how these two feel about fighting each other, because this is kind of just something that has to happen. And with that being the case, Gojo's like, fine. I could just break the binding vow right now and fight you at this moment and then have you immediately get GG, but I guess that wouldn't be interesting enough. Yeah, that's the thing. Why doesn't Gojo just fight him anyway? Like, he has no reason to listen to Kenjaku. Sukuna does. He has a binding vow set up. If he does it, the mysterious implications of a binding vow would affect him. So I get why Sukuna doesn't fight Gojo. But Gojo, especially considering it was pointed out to me in the comments of another video, yeah, Gojo operates the best when he's alone. And there's literally no one around right now. So why wouldn't he start the fight? Like, maybe he's rusty. Maybe he wants to get a little bit back in shape or get some training in or something like that. But one, he shouldn't need to do that. Physical time didn't flow. If he was just fine at Shibuya, he should be just fine here and now. So he should be good on that front. And two, sure, let's say he is confident, because we do get the closing statement of this chapter, which is like, yeah, I'll win. But I guess he doesn't know how many fingers Sukuna's at, so he may be assuming that Sukuna's at full power. But why take the risk? Why take the risk of allowing Sukuna or Kenjaku to get any more powerful? Like, bro, the world is at stake here, and you work best when alone. Why wouldn't you just immediately engage in battle? And notably, we get a reason, because as Gojo asked, man, what day is it even? And Kenjaku's like, oh, it's November 19th, just in case you want to know. And we see that Gojo's like, oh, fine. You know what? How about we do this on the 24th of December? And, you know, the Satu Sugo shippers out there, I said that ship name absolutely horribly. I mean, I'm not sure how the official translation is going to deal with this, but like, at least in my translation, Kenjaku does say, how romantic. Having a date with you on Christmas Eve gives me the creeps. Kenjaku got your back blown out for your plan. Shut up. But regardless, I don't know. That does seem to feed into it. Fizz, do your thing. I'll see what you do with that translation. We'll see. We'll see. We shall see. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Gojo, he gives the reason that, well, having 2 death anniversaries will be complicated. No? So he's planning to execute Geto / Kenjaku on the same day that he executed Geto last year. So I guess for the sake of convenience, but still, it's not worth it. Like, Gojo, you aren't going to gain anything from going back and getting the kids or anything like that, so you should just body bag him here. At least in my opinion. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe Gojo has some sort of external plan that I don't know about, but not fighting right here and now when he has absolutely nothing to lose. A little bit nonsensical. It feels like the plot is pushing that along just a little bit. Like, this is one of the rare times in JJK where I can feel Gege, like, reaching into the narrative and doing something that the characters wouldn't do. Like, I don't think Gojo would do this under most circumstances, even with the whole connections to Geto and stuff like that. I think he would, I don't think he'd want another minute of Geto's body being taken over by Kenjaku. He would take Kenjaku out right here, right now. And if that meant fighting Sukuna, he would fight Sukuna right here, right now. This seems a little bit out of character for Gojo, but maybe I'm missing something. Tell me what you guys think about that. However, with that being the case, we see that Kenjaku asks a very pertinent question. You think you can win? And obviously he can beat Kenjaku. Kenjaku even knows that. But he's obviously talking about Sukuna. And we see the other flashback as Gojo laughs. Sensei, who's stronger between you two? Well, if Sukuna regained all his power, then he might give me a bit of trouble. But would you lose? I would win. I'm not sure. I want to get as close to the English dub as I could, but I can't. But with that being the case, Gojo declares a declaration of victory right after his comeback. And we are on break next week. Darn it! Darn it. I didn't want no break. But with that being the case, Omega W chapter. Unbelievable W chapter. The only issue I have with the chapter, since the one issue I did have with like Gojo not reacting too much to Mega, I tried to say Megumi and Sukuna in one word. So Maguna, the only thing, I had an issue with that, but the slight reaction does kind of make sense for his character at this point. So the only thing I have is the slight out of character whole month and 5 days delay. But even then, I can rock with that. I want more time with the characters. And if Gojo just ended the series now, then we wouldn't have a series anymore. So gotta do what we gotta do. So overall, I think this is a mighty W chapter. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, type down Return of the King in the comment section. Return of the King would be heat. If you made it all the way to the end, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure the notifications miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you do a Patreon below. Each one is as one, get them one a month. This is videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as well as 3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nag on the Pencil, writing off.